what I want to talk to you about is actually something that came up in the Starship and that we regularly do in the Starship. It was a question a Starship captain had, which is, how do I celebrate? How do I like celebrate? Because I hit a goal and then I immediately want to move on to the next goal, or I think that's not good enough, or I have my best sales day ever and I'm like, okay, but I didn't sell enough XYZ. So how do you stop and celebrate, and why is this important? So celebration is important. Simple reason. Your brain, all of our brains, have a negativity bias. This is just part of how our brains work, that we pay more attention to the negative stuff going on than we do the positive stuff. Why? Because the negative stuff is more likely to hurt us, right? So our brains have developed in a way that we overexpand the importance of negative feelings, things, experiences, pain, and we underemphasize in our memories as we look back the positive things. It's like the difference between knowing where a bear cave is and a bear is going to come out of the cave and attack you versus knowing where the good berries are. You're going to remember the bear cave bigger because the danger is greater than the possible benefits of the berry bush. So when you look back, it's easier to remember the negative things than the positive things. That's just the way our brain works. A lot of people are like, why? Why do I care more about the one bad review than the 100 good reviews? It's the negativity bias. So we can fix this. You can help your brain emphasize and remember the positive things by making them a bigger deal. But you have to consciously do this. Your brain, your day-to-day routine is not going to do this for you. So you need to consciously pay attention to overemphasizing the positive stuff. And the reason why this matters is because when you look back on the timeline of your business, if all you can see are the negative things, are the hard days, are the late nights, are the days you didn't make any sales, on the craft shows you did where nobody bought anything, on the months that you started your Etsy shop and no one bought anything. If that's all you remember, you're going to give up too soon. You're going to give up before you get to the part where you'd be successful. The like secret key of having a business that is successful is to keep going even when it seems like, I should just give up. And we're actually going to talk about that in an upcoming video. I'm going to talk about when you should quit and when you should keep going. But most of the people I see quit before they're successful. You quit 10 minutes before you are going to break through and have your first sale or have your 100th sale or hit your first $2,000 a month. Because when you look backwards and you're trying to think, I don't know, should I keep going or should I not keep going? The negativity bias tells you that everything's always been a failure. Everything's always been hard. Nothing good has ever come of it. So you fix that problem in order to keep going in your business, in order to not give up too soon, in order to remember that things do go well and that you have had successes, and also so that you can have more of those kind of successes. So if you have had your best sales day ever, you need to remember that and remember what you did so you can have another great sales day. If you've had your best month ever, which lots of Starship captains did in November, they had crazy big sales months. What did they do? What led up to that? What created it? Well, if you don't take a minute to celebrate, you don't realize you even have anything to learn from. So you know how I said the key in your business is to keep going even after you want to quit? The thing that a lot of people miss is that you keep going and changing. You keep going and growing. You keep going and you take lessons from what's gone well and you apply them. You don't just keep going and doing the same thing forever and ever. That's not going to lead to success. You keep going and you take the small successes and you build them into what you do next. And how you're going to keep going in your business, which is how you're going to eventually get to success, is to learn from the big things. So how do you make those bigger in your memory when you're looking back? You celebrate them. You stop and you say, oh my gosh, this was amazing. I did this. Yay, woo. Now, you can do that in a couple ways. You can tell people. You can make it memorable and do something special. You can also get something to remind you whenever you see it of that success. So, and let's start with the cheapest. The cheapest is you tell people. You tell the people who are invested in you, who care about you, who want the best for you, you tell them, I hit the sales goal, or I had my best month ever. That's one of the things we do inside the Starship is we celebrate successes. So each week, part of the weekly check-in is what's going well. That's a time for you to celebrate your success, because the people in your life might not know to ask you what's going well. The people in your life might not understand what it means when you sold 20 patterns, right? Like they don't have a way of measuring if that's great or not. But in a community with other makers and artists and people who do what you do or know how hard it is to do what you do, they're going to celebrate that more with you. So you can tell a community of your peers. You can also just tell the people who love you in your life, your partner, your kids, your parents, your best friends, tell them, yay, I had this. I'm so excited. Help me make a big deal about this. Or I literally tell people, I need you to celebrate this with me. Because I know I'm not going to be good at celebrating it on my own. I'm just going to be like, okay, next. Or the Ariana Grande song, thank you, next, right? That's what we do. We're like, oh, great. So glad I hit that. Thank you, next. But instead, we need to take a minute. So tell the people you care about and tell them how they can celebrate with you. And some ideas for how you can celebrate is to just make it special. So one of the things that I will do on like just a kind of a small successful thing is light candles at dinner, or have a special dinner that is my favorite dinner, or make a special dessert, or we'll go to a restaurant. We hardly ever eat out unless we're traveling. So like, or we'll plan a trip to go to Asheville, which is like 45 minutes away. We go there, we eat delicious food. Maybe we see a movie. I pick the movie. That's the other thing is I'll pick what we watch on Netflix as a celebration, or I'll light candles at dinner, or I'm trying to think of what else is cheap. You can just like have a dance party with the people who love you in your living room when you have something to celebrate. That's a way of celebrating it and keeping it firmly in your head. Now, the third suggestion is, so Michelle said, because I'm streaming live in the Starship, Michelle said, my friends have no idea what I really do. They love me, but are clueless. Exactly. That's why it can help to have people like your friends who love you can celebrate if you tell them this is worth celebrating, but other business owners and makers can celebrate like you don't have, like we get, right, what you went through to have your best sales month ever. So it's like slightly different. We understand more what you're celebrating, but it's good to celebrate with all kinds of people. I think this is the thing I want to say about celebrating with other people. If you hold back on sharing your successes with people because you don't want to brag, you don't want to make a big deal. We're kind of taught that we should stay small, we should dull ourselves so as not to make other people feel intimidated or like they're not good enough, and you don't want them to compare themselves to you because you actually have lots of faults and lots of things go wrong, right? If we do that, what we're doing is we're creating a culture of that. So many of us grew up in that culture, we live in that culture, we don't have to keep perpetuating it. If instead we celebrate our successes and are willing to celebrate the successes of our friends and our loved ones without comparing ourselves to them, then we're creating a new culture. If you, when I talked about this on Instagram, I got a message from somebody who said, I actually want to create a culture with my kids where we celebrate their successes. When they bring home their good report cards, it's easy to focus on the things that need improvement instead of the 90% of things they got A's or B's in. We'll focus on the 1C. And we don't take time to celebrate all that went well. That's what we got to do. We got to celebrate what's going well in our own lives because it gives other people to celebrate what's going well with them. So for example, if I never tell one of my girlfriends who doesn't have a business, she works an office job, if I never am like, hey, I had a great week in my business, I'm feeling great. And instead, all we do when we get together is talk about the things that are hard in our lives. Then is she going to feel like she can tell me, oh my gosh, I got a new job. It pays $10,000 more a year. I'm so excited. No, she's going to feel like that's not the kind of friendship we have, or that's not like welcome with us. So sometimes you have to be the person that's like, hey, I want to create a culture where it is okay for us to celebrate each other. We lift each other up. We are not comparing ourselves. We know life is difficult. We know things aren't perfect. So let's celebrate it. Let's celebrate when things go well, because so often things go wrong and it's easy to focus on those things. When you do that, you're going to help create the culture in your little pockets where that's acceptable and that's okay. That is actually one of the things that I try to create in all of my online spaces, is a place where it's okay to be successful, to share that. And it's hard because you got to be the first person to do it, to create that. So do it in your homes, with your kids, with your partners, with your girlfriends. Do it to change the way that women think about other women's successes. Okay? So we talked about that you make something special, you tell your friends, family, whoever will celebrate with you. Sarah says she dances, her kids laugh and think you're crazy. But see, what you told them is like, it's okay to feel good about yourself. It's okay to be proud of yourself. Because don't you want your kids to go through life feeling like if they have a success, they're allowed to be happy about it? They don't have to hide it or dull it or like be like, well, it's not a big deal, right? We want them to celebrate. We want to celebrate with them. So the third way is to get yourself something that reminds you of the success. Now, this can be big, like a tattoo. This can be small, like I don't know if you guys can see, there's Spock right here. And above him, I don't think you can see, is an enterprise. So I bought Spock the year that I hired my first helper in my business, employee, I guess is the word. She's a virtual assistant. We called her my Spock to my Kirk. And then I got the enterprise when I hit a specific goal for opening the Starship, because it's the Starship Enterprise. And those are Christmas ornaments. We get a new Christmas ornament each year. Those years represented one of my successes. When Jay quit his job to work on buying the comic book shop, we got this Superman right here. So you see they're when we hang them on the tree, they're reminders of the successes that we've had. And you can buy an ornament in any time of the year to celebrate anything that you want. If you don't do a tree, like obviously you can do anything around your house. Like some people have charm bracelets. Like I said, some people collect tattoos. Some people collect little figurines. You can make this inexpensive, like a new journal or a book. Several of the books on my shelf are like, I hit a goal, I bought the book I wanted. Or anything, whatever you like. It could be like jewelry, clothing, stuff around your house. It can be, one of my favorite things is memorabilia yarn. Like when you buy yarn because you're either in a place or you're in a situation you want to remember. So when I will have trips for business that are like, I'm proud of myself for being on that business trip, I almost always get a skein of yarn and knit something. And I remember while I'm knitting it and after when I wear it, like, oh yeah, I got this yarn. Like I have a shawl that has a bright orange yarn in it. You know, I like bright colors, that I got from my first trip to San Francisco when I was there teaching for Creative Live, my first Creative Live trip. So it can be yarn, fabric, whatever you like. Almost every time I teach anywhere in a different place, I either get yarn or fabric, just even a little bit of fabric to remember the trip by and to be proud of myself for doing the thing I want to do, which is travel and teach. The thing about getting a token of your success is then every time you look at it, it can remind you of it. So I heartily suggest getting a token. Like I have some necklaces that stand for different times in my life, different successes. I don't wear a lot of jewelry, but like I like that when I put it on, I remember, oh yeah, that's when I hit that goal. So do whatever's going to work for you. Your big successes, get something so that you remember it in the future, because things are going to get hard. You're going to have hard times. You're going to have slow months. You're going to have times where you think nobody wants what you sell. So it is so great to have something where you can look back and remember, okay, yeah, but I have gotten through hard times before. I have succeeded before. That's it. That's why you need to celebrate. And those are some ideas for how to celebrate. If you have any questions about it, you can ask me in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, you're watching on YouTube, hit the like button if you want to see more like this and subscribe. Thanks, and I'll see you tomorrow.